We are live with another episode of Bartalk. Everybody, this episode is going to be wildly uncomfortable for me or super fun. I have no idea. My mom is on.
We're in for it.
Lori Crowe, everybody. Lori Bishop?
Woo. Lori Bishop Crowe in the house.
Lori Bishop Crowe will say in the house.
Is that what you're going by?
Well, I mean, she was like,
legally.
You Lori Bishop, you Lori Crowe. I'm Lori Bishop Crowe.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, is that how you introduce yourself now?
No.
Oh.
We're going to deep
I'm
dive.
Lori, bitch.
Yeah, she's just Lori, bitch.
Yeah. I think this is, wait, did we get those shot glasses out?
We don't even have alcohol.
What do you mean? I thought that's what you said.
I asked
Which
if you
is
wanted
so interesting.
I asked if you wanted to take a shot and you didn't respond.
Oh,
You've done
am I
shots
supposed to
with
get up and get the alcohol?
everybody.
No, I just thought that it was a no. You didn't respond. So I was like, all right.
Oh.
No drinks.
No drinks today.
Shot of
unless
water.
Lori wants them.
Everybody chug.
We may need.
Shut up.
Everybody chug on 3.
I'm very surprised her mom didn't like, okay.
Dasani, she freaking
listen.
Chug.
This is the only water I was able to get from the freaking hurricane, and I have 3 cases of this. Ew. So I gotta drink it. And it tastes like shit, but like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna
do?
Water your plants with it?
Yeah, but I bought it.
I know.
You know what I mean? It was actually a pretty terrible experience getting it, but whatever.
Save it for a hurricane.
I'll save that conversation for another day.
Okay.
You know that conversation. But this is gonna be so much fun. We got mom in the house.
So I feel like you should lead this podcast because I feel like I could go on a lot of different roads here with my girl.
Okay, well, first of all, I think that Lori is a perfect person to talk about mental toughness with. Yeah. And I think it's been something that we've like wanted to talk about like on our own, you know, and we kind of haven't.
But we're weak bitches. We don't know shit.
We're not weak bitches. We've just been kind of like putting it off because it's like, I don't know, it's one of those topics I feel like when you talk about mental toughness, to me, it's kind of like you kind of talk shit about it while also being mentally tough. It's like just like a weird subject to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like mental toughness, period. But this girl's been through a lot. And I feel like she is the person to talk to about it because it's like no bullshit. She's experienced a lot. She's been through a lot.
So
like
first, okay, you're my mom. Hey, Mom.
I am your mom. Hi, baby. It's my baby.
It's my mom.
My baby.
So, I mean, I think that mental toughness should just start with, and we can do a little back.
Yeah, let's do a little backstory of
past.
a couple things that you've been through if you're comfortable with sharing.
No.
Oh.
We're going to flash back to the mental toughness it took to be my mother.
Oh, okay.
She wants to go right there, right now. Like, we're going to go right there.
Well, we can go into
right
a lot
now.
of different right there, right now things, but
All right,
I feel
let's
like we
start
could
with it, and then we'll go into a couple different experiences that led you to, because this is kind of going into like your job per se, right? Of what you're doing or what she was doing. No?
She's doing home organ. She does life coaching and stuff like that. But I think that we prepped her in many ways for those things. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
Everything in my life has prepped me for what I'm doing.
Right, everything,
100%.
That's what I'm saying. So so talk about
it
you
all
being
started
Abigail's.
when I was a little girl.
Talk about you being Abigail's mother, and then talk about a couple different experiences that you've had that prepped you into what you're doing now. Let's play it like that.
Well, let's just do your whole life story. You were born. You came out of your mother's vajij.
In New Orleans.
Right.
Okay, which is a culture of its own, so that has something to do with it, you know.
And she's from a Jewish family
that doesn't practice any Judaism.
That's almost worse.
And my mother was Catholic, but never practiced Catholicism.
That's almost worse.
I know, it's kind of weird.
So your mom was Catholic, but your dad was Jewish?
That's a real common thing, actually. I don't know if they're just like such similarities. They both love the rules. They have a lot of rules.
But they don't follow them.
They don't follow any of them. No, they don't. I mean, but you see, toughness. I mean, when you think about with my parents, my mother just turned 91 just a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. My dad was almost 94 when he died in 2020. We're talking about a guy who was born in 1927 and a woman who was born in 1931. And they had me later in life. He was 40 years old when he had me. All right? So What y'all would call child abuse and put people in jail for now, shit, that was nothing. Nothing. I mean,
you do a few Hail Marys.
You were neglected, like, shit, they would leave you in the fields or whatever the hell, and you just figure it out, It's like thinning the herd, man,
Right.
That's what it was growing up. So, I mean,
you have 2 siblings.
I do.
Well,
No,
oh shit.
I do.
Maybe
I have
3?
No. We're not going to get in the weeds here. We're just going to. You ask me complicated questions.
This is the thing about this podcast that's so fucked up is I don't know. Like, we were like, what do we talk about? Because if we go down a road, it's like, then we're sitting there and then we're like, all right, how many siblings and how related are each of these siblings?
Who's no. We're not doing all that.
Okay,
I told you not to take me into the weeds. You asking complicated questions right out of the gate?
How many
Call her out,
siblings you
Lori.
have? She goes, how many siblings you have? This is too hard.
I have.
This is too hard.
All right. I neither confirm nor deny. I have an older brother and I have a younger sister.
Yes.
That's it.
All right.
Now, next. What else you want to know?
All right, so you're from New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm from New Orleans.
So you came here.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk
No.
about?
There's a whole lot in between.
you're jumping through a lot of.
Well, I'm trying to
space.
jump through the hoops to get you to talk about some of the experiences that you had to get into the place that you are
later.
now.
Well, no,
That's
because
part
it
of
all started in New Orleans
Okay.
and then in Mississippi when I was growing up in there. And
Just talk about here. Tracy, you're not leading this anymore.
Well,
because
I don't want you to get like too deep into shit that you don't want to talk
No,
about.
because I've heard a lot of her.
I'll tell you when I'm ready to pass. I didn't want to talk about this sibling thing.
Yeah, so this is
So we move on.
we move on. We're gonna have a lot of pass. So you grew up in New Orleans. You grew up into a situation with a decent amount of money when you were young. Your
Yes.
mom had a lot of money when you were young, and then she lost all of that.
Okay.
And then shit got weird. Did your parents get divorced before or after?
So my parents got divorced when I was 7. Mm-hmm. Okay. And my mom was doing her thing. My dad was doing his thing. And it was okay for a while. Mm-hmm. The money didn't run out until I was really when I wanted it the most, when I was a teenager.
When you like wanted a car?
When it was about time for me. Well, my brother got a car and then he wrecked it. And then he got another car and then he wrecked it. Then he got another beater, because she was starting to run out of money for cars. And then I come of age. Mm-hmm. I got Jack. All. And then my dad came in and he got me a Ford Fiesta was my first car. Which was
your dad has a famous quote.
Well, I mean, he basically said, I gave you life. What else do you want? Like.
Because the money ran out for your mom, but the money did not run out for your dad.
When you say the money ran out, what does that mean?
You're talking about why should I make
like
myself.
Her mom, so your mom just spent the money. Like,
She
why did
lost
the money
it.
run out? Just because she spent the money?
Bad deals.
Bad decisions.
Okay.
Just bad business
Buying
deals.
weird
She bought a
shit.
restaurant.
Why?
That was kind of random, I
Oh.
actually thought. Mm-hmm. Like she never had anything to do with a restaurant before. So it was just, I mean, it was fun while it went on, and then we were broke.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happened after that?
Well, that was interesting. We could get in the weeds there, but I'll tell you, when I lived in the back of Long Beach, I mean, she had weird people coming in and out of our lives. Like, are we trying to talk drugs? Are we trying to talk? What are we trying to talk?
All of it.
Yeah.
All
We're
of
going
it?
deep.
Okay, let me start with really what I think about mental toughness, like what mental toughness is. It comes from being mentally weak first, okay? I mean, just, making a lot of bad choices and learning from that. Mm-hmm. Coming from 2 really strong people. Even if they were jacked, they were strong. They were strong-willed. They had strong genes. They had strong personalities, I've been called intense from a little girl, You know, you're either too much or not enough. And I mean, I know a lot of people can relate with being called too much or not enough, you know? Right?
Get that from
no,
you.
you are. You're intense. It's like drinking from a fire hose, you know? I'm just saying. And I know what that's like because
You created me,
Yeah. So do you think that, like, when people call you intense, do you think it's the outcome of from the things that you've seen and the things that you've gone through plus your parents? Or do you think it all kind of drives from your parents, period? You know what I'm saying? Like, if people call you intense, do you think it's just the
personality.
outcome of your personality from things that you've experienced? Or do you kind of, like, relay that back to your parents because you're your parents' kid? You know how sometimes
It is. I
a lot
think
of
it is my
people
parents, too.
explain how they are. They're like, oh, well, my parents are this way, so I'm this way.
Well, it's
you know?
nature versus nurture, and I think it's always both.
and, it is both.
I think it is always both. I think both
Yeah.
play a role. Now, how big or small, I don't know. But when I saw my grandparents and I saw her, you like understand. Like you like when nobody will understand this podcast as deeply as I will because I've met Grandmother E, my mom's mom, and I've met Grandpa Stanley, my mom's dad, and you meet them and you're like, oh yeah. Wow, she's actually doing great. Like you look at my mom and you're like, she's doing very well because they're just the most eccentric human beings. Like they're just the strongest personalities. They're the weirdest people. They're awesome. Like I loved going to see Grandma and Grandpa, but then I would go see other people's grandparents and I'm like, oh, these people are fucking whack. Like I would go to Grandmother E's house and it was like she was a legitimate hoarder. And this is a big part of my mom's home org thing and how she got so freaking good at it, I swear to God, because she was like, she had to like organize her whole mom's life. We would sleep. Oh my God, when I was a kid, I remember I'd sit in the living room and watch TV and I had to like shuttle a space for my ass to sit on the couch because there was like shit all over the living room. And it was not all bad shit. It was like random china and like fucking wooden things from like India or wherever she got it from or what the hell. But then it's also just weird stuff everywhere. I mean, like it was everywhere. There were certain rooms you couldn't go into. Like it was just like you don't go in those rooms because they were off limits. It was just off limits. They were a mess. So you see them and then you see her and you're like, yeah.
Like, I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
Now.
But then it's also your environment too, because there's a lot of things that I think happened in your life that you're going to talk about that shaped you, that made you kind of stand on their shoulders and go and become who you were. And a lot of events in your life that happened after you were very young, when you were older, that definitely shaped how you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think it's always both, but growing up with parents like Grandmother E and Grandpa Stanley, I mean, you can just kind of go into, even post-split, when you're talking about living in the back of Long Beach, right? And then also afterwards, later, when you ended up living with your dad for a little bit there, in the nudist colony.
All right.
But let's start with back of Long Beach.
So it really did all start when I was a little girl. Basically, I'm the product of a couple of peacocks. They were amazing, funny, beautiful human beings, very unique. Forget about it. You know, like he was from New York. He lived in the Jewish ghetto, like 4th floor, cold water flat. And he was like, I'm going to the South. I'm going to change my name. He literally picked his name out of the phone book. He did. But he kept his initials, right? So we were Blutig, and he changed it to Bishop. Okay. You crack me up. He would be like, remember, you're a bishop. And I'm like, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
You picked that out of a phone book, Dad.
Hey, I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, these are my people. Right? I'm like, hey, you know, because you know what it tells me? You can remake yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't lose his heritage. He didn't give up but he knew how to work with what was here. All right. People didn't like Jewish people. When he was coming up, it was a wrong time. And he's like, you know what? He knew he was a good looking dude. He was charming. He's just like, all I need is an Anglo name, man. And I got this thing.
That's what I loved about Grandpa Stanley is like he would kind of be bitter on how he gave it, but he wouldn't be so soft on how he received it either. He would receive it like it was. Like he would throw it out and you'd kind of be like, "Damn, you really said that?" But then you would say something back and he would be like, "All right." And he would kind of respect you more for it.
Right.
But he'd be like, "All right." Like, I got to a point with Grandpa Stanley, I loved this guy. Like, you either love him or you hate him. And I loved Grandpa Stanley.
Right.
And he would say some shit to me, and I would say it back, and he would be like...
Respect.
Well, because he could take it. Because the thing is...
I mean, dude, he's like, people are literally nowadays, you see, like, racist people, they're like, how dare you? He was like, it's not in. Jewish people aren't in. I'm changing my name. Don't worry about it. Like, it's just like...
I'll fix it.
It's like, yeah, it's like we're switching from Instagram. Like, when Facebook was kind of lame, it's like, Instagram's in now. We're switching to Instagram. Yeah, let's do it. He was like, all right, Jews are out. Bishops in. Let's go to
the system.
Yeehaw, everybody.
Anglo name moving forward.
Hey,
you know
good
what
for
I'm
him.
saying?
So he came. He did his thing. He started making a name for himself.
Yep.
He was doing real estate.
In New Orleans, he was a land developer. He did strip malls and all kind of stuff. He was literally a slumlord too. I mean, you know, not
Love
everything is just sunshine and roses. He was hard. He was a hard man.
Him and grandmother met. Oh, here we go. I haven't heard this story, so this might be good.
Well, she was married to his friend.
Oh, God.
No, seriously.
This is a great start.
Yeah, I mean, she was married to his friend. His friend ended up dying. They were married, and he died. And then, this is a part that I don't know from my mom. I mean, she married somebody else in between, and then he married her, right?
Okay.
And she wanted to have kids. I mean, he had a vasectomy. He had it undone to have us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I'll tell you what, we are 100% his kids. Man,
Yeah.
sometimes my brother will make these expressions and I'm like, damn, that's Stanley. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell? You know?
So you're saying that her parents split and then you ended up living with him?
Okay, so they split.
Yeah. So when I was 7, they split because they were peacocks. They were both beautiful. They didn't come here to actually do the work that they needed to do to get over whatever it is that they had. You know what I'm saying? Whatever issues they had coming into the adulthood, they hadn't quite worked out. And so they had coping skills and mechanisms that aren't really socially acceptable, you know? Mm-hmm. They drank, they did drugs, they screwed around, you know?
So they got a divorce.
Mm-hmm. And then... So that was hard because I was closer with my dad. I remembered him more because my mom always slept late. So early in the morning before school, I would sit literally in the bathroom with him. But I would sit there in the bathroom while he's taking a dump. And I would seriously and do word games. I would do the word a day. That's what I love.
That's
vocabulary.
So Stanley.
I love the English language. Well, and he was an English major.
Yeah.
And so he passed that love on to me. I love word games to this day. Wordle, Word with Friends, find word, all that shit. He started
Scrabble.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. That's Words with Friends now.
Oh, that's
So
true,
why did
that's
she
true.
say you lived in a nudist colony?
Okay.
Do you want to
see,
talk
we're
about...
jumping around because the thing is, so life was not easy. My mom did the best she could with what she had. She's a single mom, okay. She was probably close to my age now, or maybe just a little bit younger when she divorced my dad. She's starting over, and she didn't want to remarry and bring somebody in to be a stepdad. So she brought boyfriends to live in the house, which I thought, this is not good. This is less good than someone who's going to be my,
Stepdad.
make the commitment and say, I'm your dad,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They come in and they just do whatever the hell they want. And so there was a lot of weird shit that went on. Things that happened to me as a young girl, experiences that I had that marked me, They shaped me, they changed me. And I grew up really, really fast. Mm-hmm. So at 13, I had the emotional capacity probably of a 10-year-old, but I had the street smarts and the whatever of like a 16 to somewhere pushing into 20-year-old, you know? So bad things happened to me. Then I brought some bad things onto myself, you know? I got married at 18.
Do you want to talk about that story? Because that is definitely a mental toughness story.
Yeah, so mental toughness, again, when it comes to it, you know, when I was living in the back, first before I go there, when I was living in the back in Long Beach, there was, you kind of have to make some decisions on, you get to these spaces in life where you have a crossroad, like, you know, trucking along and there's things happening and maybe there's this shit and then that shit and then another, and they start to compile. And then you get to this place where it's like, you're either going to go this way or you're going to go that way. And it's a really definitive marking spot, you know? And I had a few of those in my life that I'll never forget, you know? And so with my personality, so part of it is nature. I took the toughness of my mom, the toughness of my dad. I feel my grandmother in there, you know, she was a badass. And then just myself, it's like, I can get depressed and I can get down, but I'm not going out. Like there will be this thing, this survival instinct that will come and say, okay, fuck that. Hell to the no.
And there
I mean, it's like, hell no. No, you're not taking me down. Watch me.
Well, and there were some situations, I'm sure, at that house with your mom that you experienced.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, that's why I'm skimming over that because,
Right.
you know, you can fill in the blanks. Just pick your thing. Just pick it. You know, it's like that's, I want to be very, very careful. When I tell you that my parents, you know, had an impact on me, I want to stick with the positive, but I will tell you that every negative thing started there. Now, I'm not only over that, I want to go beyond that. I mean, those were dark times. I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of bitterness, and I directed everything out on my mom, on my dad. And if I told you the stories, you'd be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? At the end of the day, you have to make the choice. Okay? It does not matter. I mean, they were wrong. They did some bad. I mean, like, seriously right now. Especially when I had kids. I was kind of like, are you fucking crazy? I would think back and I would see my kids at certain ages and I'd be like, you.
Like, the stuff that I went through at these ages, it's ridiculous.
Like,
right.
I'm looking at these little idiots, you know, these little people that have, like, their brain is still mush mush, you know, and I'm like, are you joking me? So, but then you have to get to the space beyond that. I mean, I had bad coping skills. I was a high functioning bad coping skills
But you didn't
person.
have the tools to have good coping skills.
Yeah, I was just about to
You
say
had
that.
to just cope.
I had to just cope,
Like,
but
you
I
were
had,
you had to cope quick.
I had humor. So I've always had a sense of humor, and I've always, hey, all right, you know, because I mean it's dark sometimes, but that's straight up from my mom. Damn, she's got a dark sense of humor, and it was like I hear myself saying stuff that she would say, and I'm like, damn, you know, she was really funny. She was dark as shit, but she was funny.
But
The whole house be crashing down around you, and she'd be like saying some smart ass remark
She'd
about
be like,
it.
well, ain't that some shit?
Best bonfire I've seen in a minute.
I mean, she just
Roast some marshmallows.
right. The house is on fire, you know.
But so you have all these horrifically horrific.
I had
shaped,
some hard experiences.
Yeah, memories from when you were a kid. But then you turn 18, you get married very young.
I got married very young.
And
Those
then-
pictures are embarrassing, by the way. Oh, sweet Jesus.
And
So listen, I meant to ask, when you got married at 18, were you in New Orleans? Where
I
you?
was in Bay St. Louis by then. I
Okay.
went to a Catholic school for high school
So that's
in
Mississippi.
the Bay.
Okay.
And sorry, OLA, but it, exposure. They were good, actually. It was a great school.
The Catholic high school?
It was a great
Y'all
school.
were doing some, Catholic people be doing some dirty shit, and I don't.
No, you know what? Let me tell you something. Those sisters in there, they were good. They really were good. They were like a stabilizing force in my life. They did the best they could with what they had.
Well, and you married Harold was a cool guy from what you
He
told
was.
me.
Let me tell you, he was my best friend. He was my best friend, and we may not have stayed married forever. I don't know, because we were both so young and so dumb, you know? But I would love to know that he was still alive on the planet. You know? That would he and I would still be friends today. We would have circled back, and we would have still been running buddies, you know?
Guys, this was a crazy story that my mom went through that I'm going to let you tell, of course. But it was, y'all were 20. You were like younger than me now.
Yep.
And you guys were going on a anniversary.
No.
Just a boat ride.
I'll let me tell it.
Go ahead.
So we went on a stupid boat ride to Mexico in a 41-foot Hatteras. And it was actually coming up, around this time of year. And on the way home, a storm kicked up. And it was literally Halloween. On Halloween in Mexico, they have a lot of fireworks and shit like that going on. Our boat sank. All right. We had these diesel barrels that were empty, so we tied them all together to be like a raft. They had done one Mayday signal, and then off we go. We got no water and no food.
But it's you, him, and the
Captain.
and the captain
And
of
the
boat.
captain.
Right.
And we're floating out there for 3 days, but we had so we had a flare. We got one of them to work, but it was on Halloween. Later, 3 days later, when we got saved, and I say we, anyway, when we got saved, somebody literally said to me, I don't know if it was at the hospital or somewhere else, and I was telling the story. They said, yeah, we saw something out on the water, but we thought it was fireworks for Halloween.
Oh.
Yeesh. So anyway, we floated out there for 3 days, and on the third day, Harold, now hypothermia is a very real thing. Mm-hmm. The water would get cold at night, and then it was staying the same. I understand the water temperature doesn't change much, but I was cold as hell at night and then hot during the day. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't had any food or water. And so by the third day, hypothermia had set in. We're all crazy. We're just batshit crazy.
Well, on day 3 of no water, very bad.
Yeah,
we're just surreal. The whole thing is very surreal. We're just like, the only advantage I had is that I brushed my teeth before we got in the water. I mean, it wasn't like I stopped to brush my teeth. I had brushed my teeth, and then the boat started coming apart, and they had not yet. Mm-hmm. So that helped me a little bit to not be quite as dehydrated as they were, because I'd gotten whatever.
Some water in your mouth.
Something, But anyway, on that third day, we had these zippers on our life vests, and he unzipped them. One of the pieces fell into the water. He goes into the water to get it, and which is stupid. The whole thing was stupid. Like, it doesn't make logical sense, because there was no logic at that point. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he goes into the water, and the current just takes him. Mm-hmm. And he's screaming. I can remember him screaming, calling me names, actually. He would come up for air.
That's like not funny. But
it's true. He'd come up for air, bitch, come and get me. And I'm like, we're on our way.
So this is so
and then he's like, bitch. And I'm saying, we can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say,
This
and
is where like the dark humor starts hitting.
Right? And so literally, I mean, this is how jacked it was, is that I'd look over at the captain after, now he's not screaming anymore. Mm-hmm. And I said, we'll find him a little bit. I mean, it was really jacked up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you didn't even know any better. You're not
cognitive.
Yeah.
No, the brain
not
cells
able
are
to
not.
think straight.
You said you had no concept of time, but it was like, it seemed like only a few hours later.
Yeah.
That's when this offshore fisherman
Same day.
fucking
Same
finds
day.
you.
Cuban fishing boat that says, we don't ever come this way. I was like, it was the Lord. Seriously, because
It was the Lord.
It was, because if they would have if they hadn't seen us, they would have just run us over. Mm-hmm. Which at that point, I probably wouldn't have cared.
Right.
But, they pulled us onto the boat. Literally started my cycle that day.
Well.
Yeah.
And you saw a shark.
I did. Yeah, we had a shark
you.
go under my legs one day. It was all kind of probably because I don't know what. We were in a bubble, some kind of a weird bubble, except for Harold. Harold was not in the bubble. He got out of the bubble somehow.
That's insane.
So that messed me up pretty good. But you see, when you talk mental toughness, the thing is, you just got up and did the next thing, whatever the hell that was, right? Mm-hmm. So I got up and I would do the next thing. You'd go to work, you'd do your job, you da-da-da-da. But
you have to deal.
I didn't give a shit about anything. Like, really and truly.
Well, and that's what you said. You said, which I think is really powerful, is to be mentally tough, you have to be very, very weak first. And you, after that situation, anybody would be jacked up. But you had a second marriage, right, which was very short-lived because you didn't give a shit about anything and you were in a very weak state. And it was with Jack.
That was with Jack, and I'll tell you, that was one.
That was one of the crossroads at the end.
That was one of. You want to talk a crossroad? That was where you see the skull and crossbones. He was just like my mom would say, Tex bad boy. He was a good-looking dude. Rode a motorcycle, which that doesn't mean exactly anything, but it added to the sex appeal. Mm-hmm. He had been a hockey player professionally, and he was a drug addict. I didn't know it exactly at the time, but I didn't particularly care. Mm-hmm. It was like, I love life. I love people. Mm-hmm. I did not want to be around, and I didn't want to think, and I didn't want to feel. Mm-hmm. So,
drug addict husband's a pretty good match for you then.
Yeah, pretty good scapegoat.
At the moment, it was like an easy fit, and I was vulnerable. So we're going to go down the road. I'll just lay it out. We were doing cocaine, and he had me smoking it. So it was jacked up. Mm-hmm.
How different is it? I have not done either, so it's way different.
Don't, because you can't even drink.
I know, I like it.
Okay, so I don't recommend it for anybody, just so you know. I don't think it's a good idea, because it's, wherever you go, there you are. You wake up, it's still there. Except now you feel guilt, shame,
Yeah, but what's the difference between cocaine and, what is it, crack? Is that the difference?
When you smoke it?
It's crack?
Oh, honey.
Is it just way higher? You're way higher?
Yeah.
For longer?
You just... I don't know what the time... You lose time.
Okay.
You don't eat. And
So
it's
it's way
somewhere in the
stronger.
end of the night, you're crawling around on the floor looking for anything that might have fallen.
Right.
Okay? So it's gross. It's a gross space in life. Like, this is not, there's nothing sexy about it. Mm-hmm. Not one thing. Maybe that very, very first time, but you'll maybe get that 2 more times out of the 50 times, and you're gonna,
You're going to kill yourself trying to get that same experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take up golf. You know what I'm saying? Hole in one. It'll be about the same thing. You'll get that rush,
So how long after that experience happened with the boat did you get married in your second marriage?
Oh, like 6 months.
Timeline wise?
No, we're talking like 6 months.
Yeah.
But then how long did you divorce him after?
6 more months.
Right.
But but that was a good thing.
That was the crossroads.
No, because that was just so you're doing drugs and you are not being responsible. Mm-hmm. And at least let's put it this way, I have a high sense of responsibility. And I was marginal at best. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so what happened was you start losing weight. You start getting, when I looked in the mirror one day and I saw this gaunt face with these dark circles under my eyes. And I'm like, holy shit. And it was literally, again, it was like God himself came right to me and he says, you got a choice right now. I mean, right now. This was you're going this way or you're going that way. And they are going to be two totally different roads. So make up your mind right now.
So she went to the nudist colony.
Ta-da! Because, I went from one wackadoo to the another wackadoo.
And you said, hey, Dad, I'm moving in. And he said, what the fuck?
He lived in a nudist resort. You can't call it a colony. That would get corrected every time.
Really?
No.
They'll seriously correct you?
100%.
What's the difference?
Because a colony sounds
This
like
is not a colony. This is a resort.
Why? Because
And it is
they
clothing
don't want to be
optional.
known as a cult?
I don't know. It was offensive to them.
Naked people are weird, okay?
I mean,
Oh.
you do you, but
No,
like,
that was weird. And that, it's just interesting. It's like people are so interesting. I want to scratch my ear and it's under there. I mean, people are very, very interesting. They just...
That's
some
how
would
my
wear their
dad-
top and no bottom. Some would wear their bottom and no top. They'd ride their bikes. They'd play tennis. I was just like, whoa, the hell is this?
So why did you move back in with your dad, though, after all of that?
Well, there was
after
no
being on
moving
your own,
back
getting
in with
married,
him.
and you were just like...
I was running from the devil.
Right, you were just like, take me out of here at all costs. That was where you had to go.
I
and
left
then
Mississippi,
He lived
and
in the
that's where he
nudist
was.
resort.
That's where he was. That was the only other option I had at the time. I got my ass in school, I went to the community college there.
This is Tampa.
This is Tampa. And I was there for 4 months. He couldn't take it. I was cramping his style. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what?
Kids here, keep it naked.
Awesome story. The first time my dad met Grandpa was right motherfucking there. And he chose clothing, no clothing.
Oh, no.
Newspaper.
Now, my dad.
Good.
Listen.
My grandpa, power move. I fucking love this guy. Rest in peace, dude. I fucking love this guy. He's sitting there. My dad, first time he ever goes to meet Grandpa Stanley, is at the nudist resort. And my grandpa used to always wear clothes, especially when my mom was around. He would always wear clothes. Mm-hmm. They go up to meet him. He's fully fucking naked reading a newspaper.
Shut up.
With his legs
Sprawled, open. And
Get the fuck out of here.
Seriously. I'm like, Dad.
I'm like, you think your Italian family's fucking crazy? No.
Get the fuck
You got
out of
nothing
here.
on New York Jews. You have nothing on New York Jews.
My
like, if I saw my dad butt ass naked with a newspaper over him, I would
Stefano, but the thing is that's crazy. The thing that's crazy is Stefano would be like, oh, nice to meet you, sir.
Well, no, he did shake his hand, but that newspaper wasn't covering anything. He wasn't.
That was kind of the point.
Power move.
Yeah.
Power move.
Never did that.
Damn,
Never
that's
did
hysterical,
that.
though.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
that's so awesome.
yeah,
I had to tell that
go ahead.
story because that's probably, I wasn't even there for it, but God, I fucking wish I was.
I come from crazy, man. You just, he didn't play.
But you really got your shit together because you went to school and you went to FSU then. That's how you ended up in Tallahassee to finish off your bachelor's.
Yeah, so I was, Tampa for a little bit. All right, so, there's something else I got to mention in Tampa. I quit smoking cigarettes in Tampa. Now, I started smoking cigarettes when I was probably 13, maybe even younger. Don't ask me. It was cool then. Then it becomes like an addiction. It's like it's real. And children, you watch this and learn. Now, you understand? It's easier to give up cocaine than it is cigarettes, so don't. Mm-hmm. And I
Don't
mean
give
that.
them up. So don't give it up. Just keep smoking.
No! Hell to the no. Never pick that shit up. I'm scared out of my mind of that. I probably would do... No, I would never do crack again. I wouldn't.
I would probably do crack again.
I would over a cigarette.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? I wouldn't do either. I'm just not because I'm like so far beyond all that. But
Cigarettes are
I'm
fucking
telling you,
gross.
that was the hardest thing I ever quit. I literally... How many people do you know that actually gave something up on New Year's Eve and never touched it again?
That's what you did?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
She didn't.
Cold turkey?
She couldn't eat for like 3 fucking days.
Oh, because every time I want to eat, I want to smoke.
Yeah.
I literally sat and did crossword puzzles, back to the word games,
yep.
man. I sat there. I mean, I was like on a mission.
Good for you.
I'll find these words.
I'm a complete the whole damn book. I didn't get up off that sofa for 3 days.
Good for you.
Yeah. Then I had dreams about them for like a year. Yeah. No, don't ever do it. I would wake up thinking, oh my God, I blew it. I'd have smoking dreams.
Right.
Wow. That's nuts.
And then you
Okay,
wake
so
up
then
and
you ended
realize-
up in Tallahassee to finish off FSU.
So there was like a Fort Walton thing, and then Tallahassee, and then went to FSU for interior design. Okay, that was for my mom. My mom always wanted to be an interior designer, right? So I was like, I will go fulfill your dream, because I had no clue what the hell I wanted to do anyway, right? And I grew up with a hoarder, you know, like you kind of touched on that. I mean, she was a hoarder, but she was... Anyway, but my brain was always orderly.
She's like a bougie hoarder, though.
She's a bougie hoarder. But the thing is, you couldn't see the forest for the trees, you know? Everything was just always jacked up. So I went and I got my interior design degree. We're getting a little too in the weeds of the details, but I mean, I graduated. I worked for a while. I was kind of taking care of business. I really didn't think I was going to stay in Tallahassee. There's some kind of freaking sticky glue flypaper shit here.
Because this is where.
Yeah, well, then I ended up meeting your dad.
Because she went in to look for a job at my dad's
No,
firm.
no.
No?
You're getting the story all messed up.
This is what Dad told me.
I went in looking for a job?
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Dad told me.
No. No, what he might know. Let me say it,
Okay,
because
okay.
he's probably telling you the right thing. What it
Okay.
is I was with a company and my accounts were FAMU and FSU. And he was doing the School of Business at FAMU.
Okay.
He was the architect there. And so I was coming in wanting to connect, like, could I get drawings and this and that? Because I wanted to sell a whole boatload of furniture to FAMU,
Right.
which I did.
And then he was like, but like, let me take you on a date, though.
He wanted to take me for a bike ride. I hadn't ridden a bike. Again, something about 13. I hadn't probably ridden a bike since I was 13.
If you know Lori Crowe, like, she ain't fucking going mountain biking.
All right, but wait a minute. I was fit. I worked out.
Sure, but you're not like somebody who's like, yeah, let me just go mountain biking.
No, don't take me in the woods. No.
But she went.
You're fit now, and I still couldn't even see her to fucking
But she
doing that
went.
shit.
But she went.
Okay, look, I'll walk in the woods, but I'm holding a pole or something in front of my face. They got banana spiders and all kind of shit up in there. Hey, seriously right now. Really?
So anyways, so you go on this date. This should have been foreshadowing. For the
Okay, well,
future.
wait a minute. Wait. We went on, all right, all right, well, wait.
All right, wait. This is my mom's 16th life that she's going through.
So, yeah, we went for the bike ride, but he was taking, all right, we started this date early, and I thought, we're going to ride a bikes, and he's going to take me home. It was, we stopped riding bikes, and he was like, now we need to ride back. The hell you mean ride back? I thought we're not finished. Where the hell is the car? We're only halfway around the damn circle, whatever it is. And I had to tell him, I had to say, listen, I hate to say this because this sounds kind of not right, but I have a date at 5:30. Somebody was coming to pick me up to take me to dinner. And I did not think that we were doing the freaking world tour of Tallahassee. You know? He had me up in the woods, man. And
She's like, and I ain't got no cell service to give this motherfucker a call to let him know.
we had brick phones back then. What are you talking about, cell service?
That's the most Lori should have ever fucking heard.
You had to probably crank that thing and hold it, and it would
I
get hot
got
on
a
your
date,
face.
if another date at 5:30, and we're not even done this one, so I'm kind of fucked.
I had
gonna
to
take you
shower.
back.
I had to get my roommate. I was like, listen, they passed each other on the road. They did. No, there's no joke. I mean, we're talking minutes. You know? And I was like, Sharon, give him a glass of wine. Tell him I'll be out. I had to go take a shower. I mean, I smelled.
Yeah.
Like it was not good.
But it worked out.
It worked out.
The other guy, apparently, he lost the battle because apparently the
God.
mountain biking king. Shout out to Richard.
He was sad that he lost the battle. You know?
Over Lori.
He was sad that he lost the battle. But, you know, your dad was and is. I mean, he's a good-looking man.
Really good looking.
Had his own business. He was
used to wear
responsible.
suits, man. He used to wear fucking suits, bro.
He used to. No, let me tell you.
Okay,
That's called bait and switch, man. It's called bait and switch. He was wearing these awesome-looking suits, nice shirt, nice pants with the suspenders, looking, yeah. I had him. Ratty-ass T-shirts and shorts.
Oh, yeah, and Jesus sandals.
With Jesus sandals and socks.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I get Jesus sandals from him, though. That's my style. So
you put socks on, we're done.
She doesn't do that. You don't do that. But she does wear a Jesus sandal with like the nicest outfit ever. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I know.
The guy that I'm talking to wears Birks with sandals or with socks.
They were made.
You know what? I got nothing to say about that. You form your own mental toughness. So now,
Okay.
So now we end up, but what it is, so I knew my life was jacked. And I knew that I had a lot of, I knew my parents were dysfunctional. Why do you think I ever got high? I would be like, everybody up in here crazy. Mm-hmm. Nobody. And they would be like, what's wrong with you? And I'm thinking, if nobody else sees it, I'm just going to go and float away, Mm-hmm. So I knew when I met him, it's like, he's responsible. He comes from a Christian family, hardworking, has his own business, blah, blah, blah. Older, so more mature, hopefully, and all that. And then we get married. And at that age, at that time, I'm 28 and he's 40. Right?
So he's ready for kids.
Well, we're either going to have these kids or we're not. You're just not fooling around. So by the time I was 30, then comes Leah. And then...
gang, gang, baby, 33.
33,
gang,
here comes
gang,
Abigail.
Baby. This is the...
Fire. The fire.
That one hurt coming out, huh?
Let me tell you, all of you have shaped me. Leah's the one who got me to straighten my shit the most, though.
Because she was number one.
She was number one, and I look at that kid and I see any kind of, like, fear-based anything coming off of her, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
No, not
She
past
was
that.
like the most anxious kid, too, yeah?
Well, some of that shit came from the other side of the line, I'm going to tell you. And my mother. No, my mom. Mm-hmm. I forgot that she's been propping that up with prescription meds for decades.
All right, talk about what it was like raising me. Let's talk about me.
Now we're into the more
I'll talk about raising her, but I got to tell you, I never did anything that I thought I was going to do. Children and Family Services never took her away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Leah, if I just said, Leah, if you don't get straight, I'm going to pop your little ass. She would be like, oh, no, yes, mommy. And she would go and do whatever she was supposed to do. Or she would at least be quiet and like kind of go away. Abigail, on the other hand, I'm telling you, I never came so close to beating the ever-loving shit out of a tiny human being ever in my life. I'm like, you go get in your room and lock the door for your own safety. No, she would get right up like this, 2 years old, bow in her chest and be like, just spank me and get it over with. No.
And that's where all my...
No.
Shut up.
Oh.
And I quit drinking. Okay. I quit drinking for 15 years. And she's lucky as hell. I'm just thinking, how did I do that? That's mental toughness right there. You raise kids without alcohol, with no pills, no nothing, no weed, nothing. Nothing. And a not so great marriage, not because, we both had our problems. So the marriage wasn't awesome. And then this, and I had another one after that and another one after that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
No, the best thing ever that I ever heard the story. Richard comes up to Lori after kid number 3 and he goes, God told me we're gonna have a son, and she looks at him and she goes, with who?
No, he didn't say we're gonna have a son.
He said I would have a son.
He said God told him.
Oh my God.
He said God told me he's gonna give me a son. I said, really? With who?
And he was like, with you, silly. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
I was done. D-U-N done. I had 3 girls. I had Sylvia in 2003.
Yeah.
And then here comes Robert in 2006. And I did not believe that boy was a boy until I saw his wanger outside in the flesh.
Why? Because all the pregnancies were the same or something?
I made girls. It's a boy. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I
They
don't
thought I
believe
was a boy there for a quick minute. They put in the baby book. I'm
They
like,
put it. No, they put it right on your deal,
right.
boy.
So after I was
Really?
born, so after I was born, like, did I have like a large clit?
No,
What the fuck?
I don't know.
I always say in the I make a joke. I'm like, y'all should have stopped after 2 if you wanted a boy.
I mean, yeah, basically.
Oh, thank you.
Shit.
But life wouldn't be as
That's
interesting.
crazy.
Yeah,
know
so
that.
I was a little hellion. I was probably the most hellion of the kids.
So
Raising me, I
this
was,
little child,
Yeah.
still in her crib. I will speak directly to you. Child in her crib, and I tell her to go into her room because I'm upset with her behavior. I said, "You go in your room."
I don't remember this, but
But I remember it well.
yeah.
She goes into her room and she gets on the changing table and she takes the baby powder. And oh yes, she did. We had carpet up there. Yeah, she's flinging that shit all over the room. Do you think that she was doing artwork? No, she was thinking of her mother. Spraying that shit all over the room. Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Yo!
And the diapers.
Is it so bad that I can literally see that?
I
Just, like,
wish.
I could picture that
Baby,
so
right?
perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Mom, she looks at me, she goes, look, I don't wish a kid like you on nobody. She said.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You were like, all I'm saying is, just be careful.
All I'm saying is go make something great with your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Because you can't be this much.
I was pretty bad. Yeah, I was that kid that, like, I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, you might as well just spank me now because, like, I know what's going to happen later.
Little rebel
so let's
child.
just get this shit out of the way before breakfast because I don't want it to ruin my pancakes. Okay? It was kind of that thing. Yeah, because I always tested authority. Like, always. I always was that person that'd be like, do I really have to do this? Why do I really have to do this? Like,
Well, that's me. I'm a questioner.
right. So,
Yeah.
I think that in a lot of ways, some of the personality traits that made me so fucking horrific when I was young, because I didn't know how to displace that in like a mature, proper way, helped me a lot later.
Yes.
But, and I think a lot of the personality traits are from you and your side of the family as well. But, so,
Possibly.
Definitely.
But
being an outsider and listening to the stories, I would have to say definitely.
But I think that when I was a kid, it was just like I had all this, and we talked about this in the podcast with Aiden too. Like I had all of this energy and I had all of these emotions that I didn't know how to direct at all, ever.
Right.
And so for me, it was like through anger or energy, just like antsiness. So I would be jumping all over the place all the time. Like I was running around all the time. They would kick me out of the movie room when we'd watch movies because I'd be doing like flips over the couch during the movie.
truth.
Like I couldn't sit still for any given period of time. Or if I had all these emotions and energy combined, it would come out in anger. And that was it. It was never like, and sometimes when I'd be angry, I'd start crying. But all it was anger when I would express it to my mom or my siblings or my dad or the people around me. And they would be like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what's good with you? And I was like, I don't know.
Damn, poor Lori, man. She finally has a family and she's still getting tried. Like, what the hell?
Oh, no. It was, and I did.
Damn it, Abigail.
I did better.
Dude,
I did better. I did a hella better. Let me tell you. So what
well,
I
she
did.
raised you right because you're good now.
I was going to
so.
say, she did a pretty fucking
hell yeah.
decent job.
So
You did a great job.
I leaned into Christianity hard, you know. I mean, Jesus, he's my dude. All right? But
I love God.
But I mean, I leaned into the Bible. I read it cover to cover. I went to Bible studies. I went to counseling. I was like, I'm going to get my mind right. Mm-hmm. And so I learned principles, though, from that. And I realized that I had to do some things. I had to, you know, I mean, I'm not a Bible thumper. It's nothing like that. But it's like, there's a principle that says you got to take every thought captive, you know, and you got to make it subject. It says to Christ, you know, but it means to his mindset. Mm-hmm. His mindset is a high mindset. It's love. It's not fear. You know, he gave me a spirit of love, not of fear, right? Power, love, and a sound mind. I didn't have a sound mind for a long time. I didn't have power. I was not stepping into my power because I was always too much, not enough. It's like, where the freaking line in the middle, you know? Because I would either really go at it hard in the paint, or I'd be like, screw it. I'm just going to watch Netflix for a month. I don't care. Piss off. Not cooking, nothing, you know? So it's like I try to find that space in there, and I had to heal. I mean, that's like part of my tagline is I bring order from chaos, you know, because everything was chaos. It's the chaos in your mind. Like when you see chaos around you, you know what somebody's mind is like, you know, it's kind of like that. It's like what, as you are within, so you are without. Yeah. Even if your house isn't a mess, you can see it in the anxiety or in the disruptions, it's the like dysfunction.
It's like their soul in the physical form.
So you have to fight for your peace. You have to go find that space. It's not like, you know, I mean, first of all, I respect counseling. It saved me in a lot of ways. It did a lot of good things. There is a point, though, when you stop talking about the past and you have to move into the present or even maybe a little bit the future, not in the scary, you know, but like planning for the future with hope.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't keep, well, because of this and, you know, and listen, I've been deep, dark, depressed, very insecure, seeing myself as less than nothing. I had made so many mistakes that I figured I had like blown my whole deal. What do I have to offer? You know, you're just a this, you're just a that. And you get past that by taking the next right step and the next right step and the next right step. And you fail and you screw up and you do some stupid shit, you know? And one thing that I will say on the positive side that I respect about the way that I parented you kids is that I was real. I was wrong. Some.
Sure.
Maybe even a lot. But I was real, and I would always come in and be like, okay, I absolutely blew that. Or I would tell you the truth of where it came from, you know. And owning, when I got to the space where Leah's the one who taught me this. So when she hears this, I hope it touches her a little bit. I think I've told her before. But one thing that Leah had this superpower of, she would make a mistake and she would just laugh at herself. There was no laughing at myself. Everything was so serious, you know, because I felt so insecure. When I would so I was very ingracious when I would make a mistake, and I would want to push it off on somebody else and blame and shame, whatever the hell.
That's how
and
I am.
It was freeing to get to the space where I could just own my shit, or I could make a mistake and be like, you know what? It's okay. Like, right. I'm okay. I'm still good. So you're taking these baby steps along the way to where you come into a place of love and acceptance and grace for you, right? And so when I got to the place where I had grace and love and forgiveness for me, then I could give it. Then I could be at peace. Then people could come in with their bullshit from the outside. I'd be like, yeah, no. You know? I mean, I can get triggered still. I have to go sit in the grass and put my hands like, you know. I have to meditate. I have to pray. I have to go take a long bath. I mean, going through the divorce, you know, we haven't touched on that. How in the hell long do we have?
It's an hour.
Okay.
We're good.
We're doing good?
We're good.
Well, I was going to say, like, before you move into your divorce, like, what you said is pretty powerful, and I agree with that a lot about not harping so much on people's past. And I feel like people do that a lot, and like especially with everything that you've touched on already, and then going into the divorce that you had with Abigail's dad, like I didn't know a lot of your past obviously when we met, you know what I'm saying, but I was there for that period, and I feel like you were very, to me as like an outsider not really knowing, like you were pretty strong through all of that. And I know you were going through it, but like I didn't really even know you then, and I was the one being like, damn, your mom was doing her shit.
Thank you.
She's being very strong right now, and you were just like going in and out of your waves, trying to take care of yourself, but at the same time you were like, all right, fuck it, let's get this shit done, let's move out, I'm in it for myself. And like that to me was like awesome, because you knew your worth and you weren't gonna let that go, you know?
Finally. Well, you know, so I was married for almost 25 years. Part of empowering me, again, for the first time, I'm just going to touch on it because it was pivotal for me. I have to bring up Irish dance.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you've been made small for so long, and I'm not trying to blame. Let me not push this outward. Okay. I gave up my power, and that's where my power came back, is when I recognize I'm the one who holds my power. And if I give it to you, it's not your fault.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. You may try to come and take it, but if I let you take it, that's on me.
Right.
Okay? So I gave up my power. I did a lot of things. It was my choice. So I allowed myself to become smaller and smaller and smaller. So I hit this. I mean, I remember it. It was literally November 22nd of 2008. I got my heart broken in a way that told me nothing is ever going to change. Like, this is never going to change. I got sick, and I'm talking physically sick with the flu. But you know, when you get into despair, you can also get weak in your immune system. The physical mind, body, soul connection is tight. Tight. And that's why I'm like with Arbonne and like healthy eating, healthy living, all of that, healthy thinking, you know, all of it is so together. That's why the gym, I have a shirt that says I work out to burn off the crazy. That ain't a lie. That is straight up the truth, you know, because if I don't, crazy can come in a lot easier. So anyway, during this time, 2008, when I had this, I got really sick. And I remember this one day where another pivot point where I realized I'm going to have to find my own joy. But I wasn't thinking I'm going to leave this marriage. I was thinking this is a life sentence. That sounds bad, but that's how I saw it. You know what I mean? Like because I mean, I've been home with the kids. I hadn't been working. I had made my, you know, it was like we were going to have this Christian marriage till death do us part.
It would have been bad because we were all young. Sylvia would have been 5. I was 8. Robert would have been fucking 2,
right,
or 3. So it would have been really rough if you had left then.
Well, I mean, yes.
He would
100%.
It would have been really rough.
And I'm not an idiot. And the thing is also, I really wanted to make it work. I mean, like the D word wasn't even in my mind.
It was just.
But I was thinking.
It was what a life sentence. The death. I was going to say
well,
death
I mean,
sentence.
Well, you know, I was literally looking at it like, okay, you know what? I'm paying for every bad thing I ever did. That's kind of how I like. And I said, but I'm going to find joy. You see, the whole thing for me at that point was, all right, I resigned myself. I'm here. Now I'm going to find joy just for me. It's not going to be looking out there. When this happens, I'll feel good. I'm going to go and do something to bring joy.
Yep.
So I go to church, and we were going to church at Child's High School at the time. And there were these signs on the window for the Snow Queen. It was this Irish dance show. And I was like, I want to go see that. So did I take you? I know I took Leah. I took my kids.
Because they went, and the other 2 kids, or Leah or whatever, whoever else went, weren't very impressed. But you and I were very, like, I saw it and I was like, that's fucking really cool, which is like, that's really cool. And she was like, that's really cool. And so like the next week we signed up for classes, and it's so funny because we were both in the same class together. And when we did our first performance, this is mental fucking toughness. We're both doing the same fucking performance together. So I'm 8 years old and she's 42. I was, and she's with a bunch of these other little fucking kids dancing at this
Oh my God, I wish I
Man,
had a
when
video
you
of
want
that.
something bad enough, you're going to do whatever it takes. It
Yeah, so she's out
was
there.
embarrassing as hell.
Yeah, and I think I was probably better than you too.
Oh,
So
100%. 100%. I mean, I ended up...
Kids
okay,
are
but
so
here's
pliable,
the thing.
though. Kids
I
learn
ended
so
up getting
fast.
into the company, and I would do shows. But I'll tell you what, that first time on stage... It's better than a colonoscopy. Let me tell you. No, seriously.
Yeah.
You just go and do the scariest thing you've ever done for you. And that was getting up and dancing on stage. Now it would be singing because I couldn't do that even if I tried. And I won't. Not even drunk. But the dance was like, it was hard. So I had to keep overcoming that. And I'm talking about, I would have the shits for a week up to that point. And then I would go and do it. And I learned and I grew and I sucked. And then I learned and I grew and I got better, you know? And so that was one of the first, that was a major hurdle. Talk mental toughness. I had to keep going back and embarrassing the hell out of myself until I got past that point. And I mean, it wasn't like we were never going to be on Riverdance or Lord of the Dance or none of that, you know? I mean, shit. I think they're like retirement age at 25, you know?
But the point was to find joy.
Right.
The point was to find joy, and it was so that was, I have such fond memories of that because it changed me. It gave me strength. It gave me confidence. It taught me grace.
That's so crazy because that's how I feel in some ways about dance, but more so about track.
Yeah.
Running track, and also because everyone always says when they meet both of us, they're like, you're just like your mom. In a lot of ways, my personality, I'm just like you. And so the crazy, intense energy, the too much, too little, like I'm experiencing that. It's just weird hearing you talk about this because I feel like I'm going through some of the things that you are figuring out as well, like the too much, too little in dating and life and business and whatever. And then now this, like the very, like the performance anxiety, like I felt that really hard with jiu-jitsu, really hard with track, but all of those things, the like you just jump into it and you just have to fucking do it and you're going to shit your brains out beforehand. And it's like, yes, but then you go and do it and it's like once you're in it and you're doing it, it's like I could be sucking right now. I could fucking lose. I could whatever, but I'm doing it. I did it. And then like afterwards, it's just like, oh, I fucking did it.
I did it.
I fucking did it. And that in and of itself is like, that's a win.
It's a win. It's 100% win.
I think that, but it's cool because seeing you do that, like when I was a kid, it was always like, oh, like my mom did all this shit. Like my mom's been through all this shit. Like, and I didn't know obviously when I was 8, all the stuff you'd been through. But as I grew up and became a teenager and you began telling me more, you know, when it was applicable to my life, it would always come back to me. It was like,
It's inspiring.
My mom did that shit. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, like my mom's been through that shit. So like, and same thing with even with my dad, like my dad came from nothing, you know, dad came from a very poor family. Like he was living in a trailer.
That's right.
With his 3 sisters, and he built his own firm from the ground up, you know? And so like, I have a family of people who totally different personalities, totally different people, but both were like, I'm gonna fucking do this.
Mentally tough, for sure.
Mentally tough. Like my mom is more like, I'm gonna fight the demons in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do this. And my dad is the opposite. He's like, everything's just gonna be silent, and I'm just gonna fucking work and not even think until it happens. You know?
Until they smack him in the face. But yeah.
Yeah, which that kind of ties, I guess, into the divorce. Is there was a lot of demons that he, I think, never handled in his life, that began smacking the whole relationship and the family in the face. And you began to realize, wait a minute, like, I'm jacked up, but I'm not so jacked up that I need to give you my power. And I'm going to take that back. And when you decided to take that back, he was kind of like, whoa. And the whole dynamic began to shift because she was like, I'm going to grow into me. And he was like, whoa, you know?
He brought up the D word first.
Yeah.
He brought up the D word first. And
we're going to have to do a quick summary because we could go on this for like an hour.
Yeah, well, but sure. Anyway, that opened it up. And once that opened it up, it was kind of like, oh, that is actually an option, isn't it? You know?
Right.
And I felt backed against the wall and I needed to do it. You know, it's interesting. I mean, it's not like you want to keep going on and on and on, but the last 2 years is a lot about mental toughness. But, you know, maybe we can have another thing if you have any interest.
Go into that because I think that's it. Like, you went from, I'm going to leave, you know, with kind of a job. You had Arbonne, but it was not like this solid, super... Like, I
mean, it was making money. It was making money. It was it was a good job, but it was still scary as hell. The whole thing was really frightening.
And my dad, I love my dad so much, but my dad is a very passive aggressive man. When he feels very betrayed and hurt, he's like, you're done. Like, Sylvia gets that from him. Like, it's like, if you're done, you're done. You're dead to him. Mm-hmm. And so the divorce in and of itself was a fucking battle, which most are. I don't think any divorce is like super smooth all the time, but it was a battle. And then on top of that, like, there was stuff with the kids. Like, there's stuff that I had to go through with my dad. That's like a whole nother fucking podcast worth of shit.
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that you were like, all right, we got to get the fuck out of here and sell the house. And so, like, sold the house, had to move into a townhouse because you're like, we got to find something for us to live in. And then, like, on top of dealing with all the divorce, townhouse, everything, moved the house again into this house and then built it into something that you loved, which is also, like, terrifying and scary. While doing this, fucking Grandpa Stanley passes away. Taking care of him, having to deal with him then passing, having, like... It was just like 2 years of just like got divorced, moved two homes. My father passed away. Making sure I'm taking care of all of my kids because Richard was just not in a place where he could be doing that. He was not
upset.
Well, he checked out.
Yeah.
I moved my mom
oh yeah
from a 3-bedroom house down to a 1-bedroom studio type like place. And that was the hoarder mom. Then COVID hits. Then I'm staging the house. I'm getting storage units. I'm doing all these things, and I'm doing it by myself. I had to, like, you know, just all kind of crazy. So the part here that is pivotal is more making decisions, and this would maybe be for the women that had given over their power and they weren't used to even making decisions. Mm-hmm. I made decisions, but it was like, you know, do you want red or blue kind of a thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sign here, sign there. Whereas now I'm making the decisions. And I had to learn to trust my intuition again for the first time in a healthy way. And it has been a muscle just like everything else where, I'm not going to lie. There was one night that I got drunk and didn't even remember where the hell my truck was. Okay.
Oh my God. I love this story so much.
No, we're not going to go into it. We got to wrap up, remember?
No, I love this story so much. I go in, we're in the townhouse. I go in and my mom's truck is not out. So I'm thinking you're still out. And I go in, you
only do that one time. You don't stay in that space. Okay?
You walk into my room. She's got a fucking black eye and she looks like death.
Well, wait, not a real legit black eye.
No, you had a black eye, bro. Like, no. You had, yes, under your eye, it was black and blue.
Somebody poked me?
No, you hit a fucking side table.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, hold on. She comes into the room and we
need to wrap it up, folks.
She goes, you need to take me to my truck. And I just looked at her, I said, Lori, I'm so disappointed in you. I was like this. I've been waiting for this moment because I've had so many moments where I've gotten in trouble. And now I'm looking at her. I'm like, what the fuck did you do, Lori? And I'm driving her to her. I'm driving her to her car and she's like, God, my fucking head. And then she's looking and she's like, what even? She's like looking at her eyes. She's like, God, what the fuck is that?
But like, you're allowed to have a night like that. Like, pretty weird shit. It's okay.
Well, what I'm trying to say in that is that it's not all. It's all up and up and up. You know, you have these like there was that night.
Sometimes you're up and sometimes you're getting black eye from a side table.
But I did not repeat that, and I didn't want to stay in. Like, you don't stay in that lane. It's kind of like I had right shame the next morning because I was like, good Lord, man. I still have kids, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be that person. That's just not even who I am. It's not actually representative of who I am. So I was kind of like, whoa,
That's why I was shocked. I was like, where's
Hey.
your car?
I don't even resemble who the hell you are, you know? And then I forgot about I blocked out the black eye part. But I'm just going to tell you, let me tell you, okay, for the first time, I went to FSU. I went to FSU back when I was supposed to be in college. For the very first time in my whole friggin' life, I end up at Potbelly's
Yeah.
in my 50s.
Yeah.
This is not good.
I
This is not good. It is not good. And I think I'm famous on somebody's Snapchat or something. It was bad. I was
bad.
dancing, having a good time. I think I did throw up in there. I do.
Oh, well, shit happens.
I heard that.
Okay, wait.
shit
Where were you going with
The point was sometimes you have bad days, you know, in the whole progressive exchange, because it was hard. It was a lot of stuff. And so, and I allowed Satan himself to lead me astray, because this girl that I hadn't known very long, we're celebrating her birthday. And she's like, you know, so I thought shots, for sure, shots. Not as many shots as she was doing. And I had a plan. Shot, bottle of water. Shot.
That doesn't work.
It does work.
It doesn't work.
It does work.
The bottle of water.
Hydration, number one. Number two, not as many shots. 9 shots. And there was like lemon, what is that? Lemon balls?
Oh,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Lemon drops?
Lemon drops. That's a no. Right off the bat. You don't go from
Tracy's
tequila.
like, I love those. She's so
No.
fucking Italian.
Really not that bad.
No. You don't go from tequila to lemon drops and then I think something else and then back to tequila. She was bad to me.
Satan himself. I go out with Satan himself.
Hey,
Only.
we have a good fucking time.
She's like,
Satan's
green
cool in this
tea
house.
shot. She's
Okay?
like, green tea shot. I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna put green tea in the fucking alcohol? And then she's like, she's like, pineapple.
Satan's good in our house. We have a good time. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. We have a
No,
great
we
time.
have so much fun, but it's,
Yeah, well, I was past having fun. I like to actually still be present at the party. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
When I'm having an out-of-body experience, it's not cool. And
Cass
at
would
this
have
age-
taken care
let
of
me
you. She'd have been like, she's good. She's on the level. She's on a new
Yeah.
level.
This is not classy. It's not sexy. There's nothing about it that's attractive. To see a 50-plus-year-old woman, I don't even know what I looked like, sloshing. Obviously, I had a black eye, vomiting, dancing in Potbellies. For real? So it was bad. That was like a bad experience. But there were many, many good experiences. But it was a lot of stress.
But man,
moving my mom,
Yeah.
dealing with COVID, moving into the townhouse, making decisions that I'd never made before. I mean, I am so blessed.
Buying
God
a truck.
is so sweet to me. I bought a truck with cash. I looked like a drug dealer going to this man's house.
Whatever, dude. It's paid off.
He was amazing, though.
Yep.
He had that thing garage kept. I mean, I almost felt like I was on audition to like buy this truck. It was really, I love my truck.
But you got the truck, man.
I
You
got
moved
all
into
this
the
stuff.
next house.
I mean, it's like thing after thing after thing after
And now
thing.
we're in this
but good for
awesome
you, Laura.
podcast studio.
And this
Yeah.
wonderful podcast
That is
studio.
part of my mom's home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, seriously,
it is.
good for you. That's why, like, when we first started this, I was like, she is the perfect person. If we're going to have a fucking cast about mental toughness,
Yeah,
like,
that's what
you
I
are,
said.
because everybody talks about that shit, and it's like frills. You know, it's like, oh, mental toughness, be tough. You go
Well,
through
talk
something,
about
you
it in
pick
the
yourself
gym,
back
too.
up.
You talk about, like, people put these fucking
Yeah.
reels up where they're like, just fucking, work out harder,
Yeah,
work
just
out
work out and
longer.
get past it and forget it. And it's like, no, like, people go through real life shit and you're able to talk about it. And the reason why you are able to talk about it is because you don't harp on the past so much. And it's like, you accepted what happened. And I think that that's like the biggest thing is like, you accepted what happened and you're like, all right, it is what it is. Keep going.
Well, you
You know what I'm
owned
saying?
who you were then, too.
Yeah,
which is
you
all-
own
That's
that
what
shit.
it was.
That's-
I had
you
to
were like-
forgive myself.
Yeah.
Kind of get to the space where I actually liked my quirks. I was able to forgive my mom and dad in different ways.
Yep.
You know, burying him I got some precious couple of weeks with him. It's like I got no beef with that man. He was so tender and sweet with me. My mom right now, she's being humbled in a way that I wouldn't want for anybody. She's losing her sight and all of these things. She's still tough as nails, and it's like the secret is you have to go love and above. You can't if you go with fear, envy, like if the tigers still try to chase me in the Serengeti. They do. You know, I mean, if you've got like I came from a poverty mindset with my family, and they were like, I will never be poor again. Well, let me tell you, you have that shit in your mind. I mean, you can have one bad thing happen, one scary kind of thing happen that's really not so bad, and in your mind, you're going to lose everything, be homeless, and sitting in a freaking, you know, shelter somewhere. Yeah. I mean, it literally goes to that point, and so then you can't get reactive. I'll go sit in the grass out there, put my hands and my feet in the grass, get grounded again. I'll meditate. I'll go for walks. I will dance. Laughter is a great medicine. Seriously. You got to have a sense of humor. So I would have a bad day. Friends, bloopers. Mm-hmm. Look them up, man. It'll change your state.
Yeah, you know? Whatever works. Yeah.
But I think that at the very heart of all of it is like you can have all of these like day-to-day mechanisms for not just I don't want to say coping, for like lifting your state, but at the heart of it, it's you have to sit with who you are and who you were. Yeah. And you have to accept both of those things to become who you want to be. And that's what you did. And that's what I admire so much about you is that you took who you were and you were like, this is who I was, and I'm going to take all of the amazing parts about who I was and I'm going to turn them into who I want to be.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, yeah. And that's fucking Lori Crowe. Bishop.
That's awesome.
Bishop awesome. Crowe. Thank you. And let me tell you, badass bitches. I mean, I have amazing kids, but you know, you're gonna jump off you already have jumped off my shoulders. You are head and shoulders farther ahead. Huh?
Don't make me cry.
I ain't gonna make you cry.
All right.
Little mama juice right here.
But the thing is, the truth is,
I'm feeling emotional. I'm on my period.
Okay, she can blame it on the hormones. It's okay to be soft because the truth is, you've worked your ass off. You've had to overcome a lot of things within you. You know, like just the. You know, you talk about how she reads a lot and all her book smarts and this and that and the other thing. That came hard. Mm-hmm. You learned how to be a good student because you were not a great student. And you would have the right answer and she would erase it and put the wrong answer. And I would say, stop second guessing yourself. And that was in the second grade.
I had a lot of anxiety as a kid too. Like I would get stomach aches every day before going into school.
I know.
Yeah.
And you you found ways to cope. You still are finding ways to cope. You've overcome so many things. You're a better student than anybody in this house, you know? and most people that I know. Mm-hmm. If you learn in something, you go deep and you go wide. You start in this podcast, it's just like, screw it, you know? You're just going to jump in and do it and learn on the way. And I think y'all are badasses. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. You're going to do, like, you're already doing great things, but I know you're going to do even more great things. Leah's doing great. Sylvia and Robert, I don't know. They're doing great things, but they just, you know.
Well, they got a badass to look up to, Lori.
Let me tell you, everybody brings their own thing to the table.
Whatever they figure out what to do, they got a badass to look up to.
I got to tell you, they're going to be fine. I don't have a basement. They'll be fine.
I love you, Mom. Thanks for coming on.
Hello?